Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back in. It is Lettermen Row. It is Mick Walker. It is Spencer Holbrook, and it is college football playoff week. The Buckeyes, of course, are not playing this week, but two teams are who could play the Buckeyes. Texas A&M, Miami, Saturday at noon on ESPN. Winner goes to the Cotton Bowl to play Ohio State. We're going to have a lot to break down for that on Lettermen Row, on the Lettermen Row YouTube channel this week. But before we get to any of that, the holiday season is here, and Academy Sports and Outdoors has the legendary gifts you need at undefeatable prices every day. Shop on gifts on everybody's list, from football jerseys and basketball hoops to fire pits and deer stands. The most wonderful time of the year happens here. This Christmas, give the gift of fun from Academy Sports and Outdoors. Thanks to our friends at Academy Sports and Outdoors for hanging out with us all year. Thanks to Mick Walker for being with me right now. Let's talk about it, Mick. How you feeling, man? How was your weekend? Weekend with no football, kind of sad. Heisman Trophy fallout. It is what it is. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Spencer. We did have the America's game. We had the Army-Navy game. We did have the LA Bowl, in which the Big Ten got their first win in the whatever it is, Big Bowl standing. So there you go, Jed Fish. Best of luck in Ann Arbor. But there we go. We're on to the next week, like you mentioned, the next week of college football. We got some bowl games, then obviously the college football playoff.
Yeah, that first bowl game was interesting, man. Those teams only had like 6 days to prepare for each other. The fans had no time to travel there, so it was like a 3/4 empty stadium. I fell asleep when it was, I think, 28-3 or 24-3. I tried to watch. I tried to be locked in, to no avail. That game sucked. I mean, let's just be honest with ourselves. It was cool to see Joe Coleman one last time in college football. Denzel Boston one last time in college football. I'm excited for what Damon Williams could be. Bowl season just feels weird this year, man. It just feels like we care. Especially with the coaching carousel starting to spin, especially with the playoff meaning more than the bowls do. It just doesn't seem like the bowls matter as much, and that makes me sad because I grew up watching all the bowls.
Yeah, and mentally it's weird because I feel like the Bulls used to, like, we get through conference championship weekend, we start getting hit right away with Bulls. But now we kind of got this break. I think we have Bulls this week at some point, I believe. I'm not sure. I believe I'm not going to full claim credit. Your beloved Ohio Bobcats will be taking on somebody in a bowl that I believe you're a big fan of, or you're at least a big fan of the brand that is sponsoring the bowl game. So I imagine you're looking forward to that. And we'll have some other cool ones. But yeah, just with the college football playoff, and you kind of take away some of the major ones like the Rose Bowl. That's not a bowl game really anymore. That's just a college football playoff semifinal or whatever it may be. So you kind of take away some of that stuff. It loses a little bit of the luster, but still look forward to college football, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, the Bobcats play next week. We'll have a full breakdown of Ohio UNLV heading into that game, of course, at lettermenrow.com, because that's what we do. We cover that. We sure do. There's a bowl game on Tuesday night. There's 2 on Wednesday night. There's 1 on Thursday night. And then Friday is Alabama, Oklahoma, which is a big one. We'll do full college football playoff first-round picks this week just for fun, Mick, when we get to our Bet MGM segment on either Thursday or Friday, depending on when we record. But how are you feeling about the college football playoff being here? Quickly, and Ohio State still has so long before it plays a game, 16 days still until the Buckeyes kick off. But for me, I'm excited because this week means we're finally going to find out who can actually start to break down the game.
Yeah, I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated to see both these teams play. Like Texas A&M, Miami, they're kind of similar teams in like a little bit of ways. They both have really good defensive lines. Their quarterbacks are a little bit goofy at times when it comes to the decisions they make, and I'm just really interested to see how Miami handles going on the road, how Mario Cristobal goes up against a coach like Mike Elko, who I believe is kind of a better head coach than he is, but this still is a very talented Miami team. I don't know. Maybe you answer this question better than I because you know college football, at least the landscape nationally better. But I think if you're an Ohio State fan, you probably prefer Miami, but I'm not necessarily sure who you would rather see.
I I think I'm going to answer that question in a video later this week. But and Miami are very similar teams. And I guess I'll give an official answer this week, and I won't spoil it. I have content this week, and Ohio State still doesn't play this week. So I'll save that. But, yeah, I mean, great offensive lines, really good defensive pass rush. Two teams that aren't great at running the ball. Two quarterbacks that make mistakes against the better teams they play. One head coach that I wouldn't trust with anything, and then another coach who I still think is a little too defensive minded. So, I, I think I could go either way on it. I'm going to have to make a decision, of course, later this week. But yeah, I'm just excited to see the game. Like Carson Beck throwing into the A&M defense, and the A&M defense trying not to give up big plays, and because they've given up big plays all year, and then Malachi Toney knifing through the middle of that defense. But then on the other side, Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion going against the Miami secondary, full of athletes. I don't know how great the football players are, but the athletes are awesome in that Miami secondary. Ruben Bain, Akeem Mesidor, Justin Scott against the great Joe Moore Award finalist, and then the flip that exactly over, Cassius Howell against Maui Goa and the offensive line at Miami. Like that is going to be a war. And so low scoring battle between two teams that are going to have to try to stay out of each other's or stay out of their own way more than each other's way. I'm just excited to get to the obviously starts Friday night, Mick. That Alabama-Oklahoma game, I'm pumped for. Alabama moved the ball really well the first time.
There I am. Sorry.
Yeah, we lost you for a second. Threw an 85-yard pick six to Oklahoma, just kind of gave them 7 points and then lost at home. Now it's in Norman, but I think Alabama's probably better off of some rest. But then you got Venables' defense. Like those two games are just going to be awesome. And then we get two that are what they are, I guess.
We get two teams that get to play in scrimmages, and we get two high-level college football playoff games. All respect to John Summerall and all respect to Tulane and James Madison and everything that's going on through those teams. But for Oregon and Ole Miss, those are kind of scrimmages to get ready, especially for Oregon, who's trying to get players back healthy. Like obviously, but like good for them that they get to kind of tune up. But I think you'd rather see good games, I guess, or you'd rather see more competitive games, whether that's Notre Dame getting in or some of these other teams that could have gotten in that situation.
Yeah, no, I agree. I completely agree. Mick, who has a better chance of winning the first round game, Tulane or James Madison?
I'm gonna go with Tulane just because I think the whole Ole Miss thing is weird without having like a head coach there, and I obviously Tulane's losing theirs, but John Summerall I think has handled this very well, the whole transition and kind of like picking his spots. They obviously have the interim there as well, and I don't know if I think Pete Golding is a good coach. I don't know if Pete Golding is like the complete and utter answer for everything that Ole Miss needs going forward. But I guess we'll find out our first step in that on the what is that, Saturday afternoon or Saturday night?
Yeah. That is Saturday afternoon because James Madison, Oregon is the Saturday night game. The real entree, if you will. They've kind of done the meal in reverse order. I wish it was James Madison, Oregon, then Tulane, Ole Miss, and build it up to A&M Miami. Instead, we get A&M Miami, then Tulane, Ole Miss, and then James Madison, Oregon. It's kind of like coming down off of a ladder. And you were excited to be at the top, and then you're at the bottom, and you're pretty bummed about it. I don't know, man. I'm cool with the teams getting in, and I'm all for the inclusion of the G5 until we see the matchups, and it's like, kind of sucks. So, I don't know how to feel about it.
I assume there's the Ohio State fans out there that have seen the graphic, what the bracket would have looked like last year if they would have they had kept the same format. And if you're an Ohio State fan, obviously you're cool that you get to play in a Cotton Bowl again and you get to play on good teams, but still, it would have been nice to have a first round matchup of James Madison and Columbus, and then heading to Tulane before you get into the college football playoff semifinal.
It would have been a first round matchup against James Madison in Columbus, and then the Cotton Bowl against Tulane. So, I mean, it wouldn't even have to go to Tulane. So, yeah. I mean, you talk about a program that should be angry that the rules were changed this year. Ohio State has a gripe, man. Ohio State has a gripe. But either way, they'd be going to the Cotton Bowl because they would beat the doors off of James Madison, and they'd play Tulane. And, You don't know what you're going to get from A&M or Miami. Like that's going to be a tough physical game, and then they're going to have to turn around in 10 days and figure out how to beat Ohio State, who's a tough physical team. So like you don't know what you're going to get from any of these teams in the college football playoff. Who's going to get hot? Ohio State could have stumbled into last year's playoff and just lost to Tennessee or got blown out by Oregon, and they didn't. So, I'm not going to say that it's going to be it would have been a pushover game, but also probably would have been a pushover game. Mick, either way, Ohio State would have been in the Cotton Bowl. I want you to be in the Cotton Bowl. Yes, you, the viewer, the fan, the listener, whoever you are, I want you there. And I want you there from the folks over at Game Time. Right now, there are tickets in the Cotton Bowl for as low. It's actually in AT&T Stadium for what's called the Cotton Bowl. It used to be at the Cotton Bowl. It's real confusing. There's standing room only tickets for $344. There's some upper bowl tickets for $347. And you can save $20 with the code ON3 at checkout in the Game Time app or at gametime.co. But more importantly, even more important than the Cotton Bowl, an international standout event is coming to North America. I'm telling you, it's electric. The World Cup is finally coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. This massive tournament is going to be 48 teams for the very first time, but getting tickets to it, not so awesome. It's going to be brutal unless you're using the Game Time app. The Game Time app is such a lifesaver. It gives you the advantage. It gives the advantage back to fans with the tickets, all the matchups that you care about, track price drops in real time, get alerts for when the seats open up, and grab tickets the moment they hit the app, all backed by the Game Time guarantee. They do zone deals. You pick the zone. They give you the deal, the best deal in that zone, and then you get the seat that you want, and you don't even have to really do anything. The best part, though, the Game Time guarantee says what you see is what you pay for. No hidden fees like the other guys. No hidden tack-ons or anything like that. You don't have to pay for the things that you don't want to pay for. What you see is what you get with Game Time. Go to gametime.co or use the Game Time app today. Use the code ON3 at checkout for $20 off your first purchase. I've done it before. Mick's done it before. If you want to go to the Cotton Bowl, more importantly, if you want to go to the World Cup, go to the Game Time app or gametime.co. Get your tickets today for any event that you need. Concerts, Blue Jackets games, Cotton Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, National Championship game. Plan ahead, folks. Use the Game Time app. Go to gametime.co. Save $20 when you use code ON3. All right, Mick. A little bit of a college football playoff primer. More importantly, the reason I brought you here, I did not tell you we were going to talk about this. What in the heck is going on up at Michigan? Look, we're not a Michigan show. There's plenty of Michigan shows, whether they're accurate or not. There's plenty of Michigan shows. You can find them. We're just a couple of fellas talking ball about the Buckeyes. But the rivalry is too big not to talk about this. We didn't talk about it at all last week. I kind of let the facts come out, let everything unfold. Sharon Moore was in court on Friday. It was an absolutely surreal thing to see. This thing is a mess, Mick, and it feels like it's going to get even messier.
Yeah, I don't really have any, I'm not going to push forward and continue to joke about it. I've made some jokes.
It's past the jokes and the memes the first 2 hours after he was fired and it said inappropriate relationship. The jokes and the memes were there and people got their fun out of it. Then once the arrest stuff came out, all of that, it took a turn into, okay, there's no joking about this now. There's some serious lives being impacted by this. We've got to button up the jokes and get serious here. I agree with you there.
So then if you just move forward, like Michigan perspective, I think you and I would both agree they're going to upgrade at head coach because I believe just pure football coaching wise, Sharon Moore was not that great of a head coach. So if you're an Ohio State fan, it's not all that great of news because like you maybe would have gotten at least one more year of him there. I think the more interesting thing is like if you're Bryce Underwood, there's all this quarterback movement today from transfer portal. I don't know if he would just bounce like this right away. But there's the talk of maybe a Biff Poggi interim year, or if there's a new head coach. You're looking at a rebuilding year in year two, which is kind of supposed to be his big year before he gears up and goes to the NFL after year three. So I don't know how that all plays out for him, like roster construction wise, from the recruiting perspective. There's only been two guys that have announced they've asked out of their letter of intent. Both have ended up at other places. We're all kind of watching some of the higher ranked signees, obviously for Ohio State. That's Carter Meadows and whether he enters. I don't know what the plan of action is there. I know Carter and his parents are very sound and like well thought out about this whole process. So I don't know like what the decision will be, but I assume they'll probably kind of be patient about to see who the next head coach is or what the plan of action is. And a lot of these guys, the portal opens up here at the beginning of January. If you want to just go ahead and enter then, you can do that as well. You don't even have to try and get let out of your NIL or NLI, sorry. So that's kind of the immediate, like the recruiting impact. I don't know what it's there yet. The coaching impact, Michigan will upgrade. I think we both agree on that. And then other than that, there's not much more I can say about it or really want to get into.
Here's where I think this is interesting, Mick. So the new rule is when a team when you get fired, when a coach gets fired, the old rule was there's 15 days now with the transfer portal you can leave because your coach got fired. The new rule states you have 5 days to enter the portal once the new coach is hired. So you have like a 5-day window where the new coach gets to meet with players and say, "Hey, this is why you should stay." I think that's a good rule for the players and for the coaches. The coaches can try to retain the roster and say, here's why you're still important here, even though, I didn't recruit you. We didn't bring you in. The old coach did. The players don't have to make irrational decisions. Okay, my coach got fired. I'm leaving. They can stay and see it out. I like the rule. Where it really complicates things for Michigan, though, this is so close to now the only transfer portal window we have. There's no spring portal anymore, Mick. The only portal window we have is from January 2nd to January 16th. I believe those are the dates. If it's a couple days here and there, I know it's January 2nd, but I have no idea if it's in the 16th or the 17th. It is like a 15-day window, January 2nd to something. If you hire a coach before then your players have 20 days to decide if they want to go in the portal. That is probably for the best. I would say you should have a coach lined up before the new year, so you don't have to go into January wondering who you have to replace, things like that. You need some answers. If you don't hire a coach until after the transfer portal window, not only do your players have 5 additional days to leave, you have no time to bring in any new players whatsoever. There is no second transfer portal window. That's why I'm wondering if they don't hire a Kalen DeBoer or a Kenny Dillingham in the next 15 days, how do you even push forward with a new coach knowing that year one is going to be an absolute disaster? Because you're not going to be able to go into a portal window in the spring and try to fill holes for a year one. And if you have a bad year one, that's already 1 year of lack of proof of concept. How do you go into the portal and try to rectify things for year two or recruit based on that in year two? And then it snowballs into year three, and then it goes downhill. We've seen that with programs before. It gets even heightened now with only one portal window. So I think the Wolverines are kind of up against it right now. And if you're an Ohio State fan, yes, you should be bummed that Sharon Moore got fired because he is not a good head coach. And I think that place was on a semi-fast track to becoming back to like Brady Hoke, Michigan. At the same time, if you're Ohio State, you should be pretty happy because you just wrestled control back over the rivalry. And just because they get a new head coach in there, they have to come to Columbus next year. You have no clue what the Michigan roster is going to look like. It's more likely than not that you're going to head into that game next year as the favorite, Bryce Underwood or not, whoever's there or not. And then you're on a 2-game winning streak with a lot of the players on the Michigan team then never having a win over Ohio State on the roster. And so this is a good opportunity for Ohio State, not just to wrestle control of the rivalry January 9th or something in Ann Arbor, but now to spin it forward and to win 2, 3, 4 straight in this rivalry, try to completely get control over it, have a new coach start on the wrong foot. Sorry for rambling, but these are just kind of some thoughts I have about the rivalry and what it all means right now. I think Michigan is kind of up against it when it comes to trying to hire a new coach.
I completely agree. The other thing is, and I think I said this to Spencer on the drive back or the drive up from Ann Arbor last month, and this is just my personal thought. I don't know if Spencer fully agrees with it. We didn't flesh that all out, but I've on the line that Ryan Day's like Michigan issue is more largely like with the Harbaugh regime. Like I just think he has such a dislike and disdain for that like regime and that group of people and how that whole kind of went out the rest of the past couple of years or the years when Ohio State was on that losing streak, and that's why I think you saw some of the beating your head up against the wall stuff in here 2 years ago in the shoe, and you're like, we just want to beat him, we want to physically beat him down. I think regardless of the quality head coach that does come in, Ohio State and Ryan Day are still going to be one of the best programs in the country, and that whole regime and the whole thing that really just, I think, got into Ryan Day's head there for the past couple of years will be gone. So I think while they do have upgraded head coach, I think the idea of like that regime, those people that kind of were in the midst of that chaos that they caused, will be gone. I think that's probably better for Ryan Day's mental and the whole approach to the Ohio State game and the rivalry game going forward.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's important for us to at least address it, not because people are looking for our opinions, but like, we talk about the rivalry more than any other game. And in the offseason, they're going to play Texas in week 3. We'll still talk about the rivalry more. This past season, they played Texas in week 1. We still talked about the Michigan game just as much in the offseason as we did anything else. Like that is a integral part of what we do here. Lettermen Row is covering the rivalry. And so a massive happening is going on with the rivalry. When Michigan gets a new coach, we will talk about it here. Whether Ohio State's still in the college football playoff or not, because I think it's important to talk about what does it mean for the rivalry. And when Michigan finds a new head coach, we'll write about it over at lettermenrow.com, which leads me to my final point. Lettermenrow.com covers the Bucks for just $1. Yes, you can go to lettermenrow.com right now, get $1 coverage, full coverage of Ohio State athletics for $1. Go there right now, get coverage of the Bucks for just $1 from Mick Walker, Alex Gleitman, and Jeremy Berm on the recruiting side, from Austin Ward and myself on the team side. That is Mick over there. Get all of his coverage for $1 over at lettermenrow.com. I'm just Spencer Holbrook. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Like the video below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave a comment below. Tell us we're stupid. Tell us we're awesome. I don't care. Leave a comment below. And then go over to lettermenrow.com. Come hang out with us in the Letterman Lounge. We'll see you guys there, and we'll see you back here later this week for Lettermen Row YouTube video coverage.